Doctor warns, 6 masturbation mistakes men over 70 often overlook. Genre, senior health. During my 30 years of working with older men, I have witnessed silent but profound changes. Not everyone dares to speak out. Not everyone realizes it. Here are 6 lessons and also 6 warnings that I hope you will not ignore like many people have done. The journey begins with the most seemingly harmless thing. When the body's exhausted but we still try to get close to ourselves, I once had a patient named Richard, 74 years old. He came to my clinic after a fall in the bathroom in the middle of the night. No one knew what had happened until he whispered to me with a shy look in his eyes, "I just wanted to relieve myself a little before going to bed." It sounds normal, but at that time, he had just worked in the yard all day. His body was dehydrated, his pulse was weak, and that seemingly simple action caused his blood pressure to drop suddenly, causing him to faint and hit his head on the porcelain counter. You see, after the age of 70, the body's no longer the same. The heart rate is no longer stable. Blood circulation is no longer strong. The ability to recover is also significantly slower. When you are tired but still try, you are not only gambling with your health, but also with your own life. Many older men do not see it as a problem. They are used to feeling a little tired, but they forget. Just one out of sync heart rate, just one lack of oxygen, just one fall, and your whole life can change direction. I used to be one of them. When I first turned 60, I thought I was still healthy. One time after a long day of surgery, I came home and tried to relieve stress with a private routine. The result? I felt dizzy, my heart was pounding, and I had to lie motionless in a chair for almost an hour. Luckily, I stopped in time, but not everyone has that opportunity. So if you feel tired, don't try. Rest. Let your body listen. Drink water. Wait until your circadian rhythms return to balance. Connecting with yourself is better when you start from a place of health, not exhaustion. I don't write this to scare you. I write it so you don't have to feel regret, like Richard, who after that fall never dared to be alone for more than 30 minutes. I once asked a patient, "Do you ever feel you're doing something familiar, but you're not really present in the moment?" He, George, 76, nodded without thinking long. "Lately, I do everything as a habit, even private things. Then I feel empty." It's not uncommon. Many men over 70 face the same thing. They may not realize it, but when they rush, when they do it quietly in a sense of avoidance, they create a vicious cycle of stress. Not just psychological, but physiological. I used to be like that. There was a period when I avoided myself. Work, family, age, everything took over, making intimate moments an obligation. I ended it quickly, silently, then turned away as if I had committed a mistake. It was only when I sat down with myself, with my breath, with the feeling of each movement, that I understood. Rushing is a way to avoid real feelings. And the body never lies. When you do it in a state of stress, your nervous system does not relax. Your breathing is shallow, your heart beats faster, your blood vessels constrict, your muscles tighten. You think you are relieving, but you are actually making your body feel threatened. Many patients tell me that they start to feel tired after such times. Some can't sleep. Some feel uncomfortable, empty, and don't know why. George told me, "I feel like I just ate a meal and I can't taste anything." And then I ask myself, why rush? Who else is rushing me but myself? I told him, as I told myself, to slow down. Breathe. Look at your shaking hands. Let each movement be a conscious act. No need to be fancy. Just be present. You don't need to get it over with. You don't need to avoid yourself just because you're old. In fact, because you've been through so much of life, you deserve to be in the moment more fully, with your body, with your emotions, with your connection. And sometimes slowing down is the way to remember that you're alive. Not just alive, but alive. I remember that afternoon vividly, an urgent call from the hospital. Henry, a calm, 76-year-old man with no history of heart problems, was rushed to the emergency room after a fall in the bathroom. The reason? A self-intimacy session while standing in the steam of a hot shower. He didn't fall because he was slippery. He fell because his blood was in the wrong place, his heart was beating too fast, his blood pressure dropped suddenly, right after the moment of climax, and no one was there. Henry lay unconscious for nearly an hour before help arrived. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so you know. At this age, little things, like posture, can make the difference between a safe experience and a near-death experience. I've seen dozens of similar cases. Some leaned over the sink, others leaned one leg against the bed. They have been doing this for years, but they forget that a 70-year-old body is no longer a 40-year-old body. The truth is, at this age, the cardiovascular system reacts more slowly. Blood pressure drops easily, losing balance happens in a split second, and the consequences can last a lifetime. I remember being complacent. One evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, trying to return to my younger habits. A little hasty, a little old habit. It was only when my knee started to hurt and I grabbed the sink with one hand that I realized how stupid what I was doing was. Since then, I have changed my approach. Sit down, lean back, choose a quiet, well-lit space with a safe place to lean against. And I advise all my patients to do the same, because you don't have to hide in a dangerous position. You deserve safety, respect, and presence, even in your most private moments. Taking care of yourself is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to a man who understands that. Living long is not as important as living well. I met Leon when he was 78, a neat, reserved man. He had been a high school literature teacher for nearly 40 years. He came to see me not because of pain, but because of a strange feeling he couldn't name. "I don't feel the same as before, doctor," he said, looking down. "No pain, no discomfort, but there's nothing to look forward to." I asked him about the specific changes. He said difficulty maintaining arousal, lack of orgasm, sometimes feeling sad afterwards, without knowing why. More importantly, he didn't dare tell anyone, not his wife, not his children, not even his friends. That was the fourth silent mistake, ignoring the subtle signals from his body, thinking, it must be just old age. I have seen it happen too many times in my 30 years of practice. Small signs like loss of sensation, nocturia, slow recovery, testicular shrinkage are ignored only to be diagnosed with vascular disorders, low testosterone, or even prostate cancer a few years later. I was also subjective. When I was 62, there were mornings when I woke up and my body was no longer responding as before. I brushed it off, thinking, it's a doctor, I get it, it's stress. But when I went for a test, my hormone levels were alarmingly low. From that moment on, I understood. The body never betrays us. It's just trying to tell us gently before it screams. I worked with Leon for 6 months. We changed his diet, adjusted his sleep, supplemented him with natural testosterone, and most importantly, helped him dare to look at his body once again as a companion, not as something outdated. On our last date, he took my hand and said, "I thought I had to choose between growing old and settling down. But now I see I can still live fully." The question is not whether you are still capable. The question is, are you still listening? I used to think that slowing down was a sign that I was getting weaker, until I met George. George is 75. His wife has been dead for more than 10 years. A lonely but self-respecting man. He came to see me not because of any obvious physical problems, but because of something empty. "I still maintain everything," he said. "I still take care of myself. I still maintain some private habits. But every time I finish, I feel cold, lost. Like I'm just doing it to get it done. But I don't feel anything anymore." At that time, I asked, "Did you breathe deeply? Did you relax? Did you let your mind drift?" He smiled sadly. "No, I just did it quickly." We didn't talk about technique. We talked about rhythm, about breathing, about presence. I gave him this simple instruction. Try to pick a time of day when you're not distracted. Sit down in a well-lit, private space. Place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and touch yourself as if you were still worthy of being cherished. A few weeks later, George returned. His eyes were shining. "Doctor," he said, "for the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm running away from anything. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel guilty. I just feel at peace." I nodded. I had been like George. In the early years after my divorce, I threw myself into work, taking care of patients, but never really being with myself. Whenever I was alone, I did everything too quickly, as if afraid of facing loneliness. It wasn't until I was 65, when I began practicing mindfulness, that I understood. Slowness is not aging. It's a humane acceptance that you are still worthy of being loved by yourself. You don't need to do more to prove anything. You just need to be present, to feel and to heal. A few years ago, I cared for a special patient, Harold, 81, a man who had been living alone since his wife died. For years, he had been disinterested in intimacy, not because of illness, but because he no longer felt worthy. "When my wife died," he said, "I shut everything down. No one touched me. No one I dared to touch." He had first come to see me not for sexual health, but for insomnia and chronic muscle pain. But the more we talked, the more I sensed that his long-standing loneliness had slowly eaten away at his body. No one held him. No one let him hold himself. I remember saying, "Harold, you don't need another person to start touching your body again. Your body still needs to be acknowledged, still needs to be touched, not to satisfy it, but to remind it that it is alive." I shared with him a simple technique, not to do anything, but just to be present. Every night before going to sleep, put your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat, and say to yourself, "Thank you, I still feel it today." 3 months later, he came back with a different look, no longer tired, no longer closed off. "Doctor," he said, "I don't know what has changed, but every morning I wake up, I feel and still human. I used to be someone who ran after every medicine, every physiological technique. But the older I get, the more I believe. Connecting with yourself is the most powerful medicine. We spend our youth trying to prove that we are strong enough, powerful enough, manly enough. But at 70, 75, even 80, the most valuable thing is not intensity, but presence. Listen to a breath. Recognize a feeling. Touch yourself without shame. Look in the mirror without shying away. These are small things, but they are bigger than any prescription. You don't have to be the same person you were when you were 30. You just have to be who you are now, whole and loving. Walking isn't always best. 6 types of seniors who should slow down and what to do for safer health. Walking is often recommended as a great habit for staying healthy. But did you know that for some seniors, it can actually cause more harm than good? This may sound surprising, especially when we hear that walking helps maintain mobility and overall health. But the truth is, there are certain health conditions, recovery stages, and hidden risks where too much walking or walking incorrectly can lead to fatigue, pain, or even increase the risk of falling. This isn't fear-mongering. It's simply a reminder to know when to push forward and when to pause. Listen to your body and adjust your routine accordingly. As we age, everything changes: blood pressure, joint strength, balance, and stamina. What worked at 50 might not be as effective at 75. So the real question is, are you truly listening to your body with every step, or are you pushing through without realizing the risks? Let's explore the hidden dangers behind this seemingly harmless habit and find smarter ways to stay healthy and safe. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you never miss our latest videos. Your support helps us bring more valuable content like this to you. Number 1. Elderly people with unstable blood pressure. Did you know that something as simple and seemingly harmless as walking could become risky for some seniors, especially those dealing with unstable blood pressure? If you or a loved one is in this situation, it's important to pause and listen to your body. Sometimes asking yourself one simple question, "Should I go for a walk today?" can make all the difference in your health and safety. Unstable blood pressure can cause dizziness, blurry vision, and even fainting. What's truly concerning is that these fluctuations often go unnoticed until a serious incident happens. Take the story of George, a 76-year-old man who always enjoyed his daily morning walks. One day after his doctor adjusted his medication, George suddenly felt lightheaded and nearly collapsed while walking down his usual street. He didn't realize how much the new medication had affected his blood pressure until it nearly cost him a dangerous fall. So, what should you do instead if you're in a similar situation? First, make it a habit to check your blood pressure before you head outside. A simple electronic monitor at home can be your best friend. Ask yourself, do I feel clear-headed today? Do I feel stable on my feet? If anything feels off, don't hesitate to change your routine. Consider walking indoors where furniture or walls can offer support. Or better yet, walk with a friend who can assist if needed. Adjust your walking route to avoid hills, long distances, or areas without shade. Safety is never an overreaction. It's wisdom in action. As Dr. William Osler once said, "The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease." And in this case, you are your own best doctor, tuning into your body, respecting its signals, and making thoughtful choices. Instead of forcing yourself to walk when you're not feeling well, ask yourself, what does my body truly need right now? Sometimes a quiet morning with a few gentle stretches at home can be more beneficial than a long walk outdoors. When your blood pressure is stable and you feel ready, you can return to your routine with confidence and peace of mind. You deserve to enjoy your golden years with strength, safety, and self-awareness. If you found this advice helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more practical health tips, inspiring life lessons, and expert-backed advice for older adults. Your well-being matters. Let's walk this journey together. Number 2, elderly people with severe osteoarthritis. If you or a loved one are dealing with advanced osteoarthritis, take a moment to hear this story. It could completely change how you think about exercise and joint health in later life. Osteoarthritis isn't just aching bones or a normal part of aging. It means the cartilage, the body's natural cushion between joints, has worn down. Every step becomes a painful reminder that the bones are grinding against each other. And for seniors with severe joint degeneration, walking long distances or on hard surfaces may do more harm than good. Many believe that more movement is always better, but that isn't always true, especially when your joints are silently pleading for relief. Take the story of Mr. Robert, a 79-year-old retired teacher who used to take pride in his long daily walks. He believed that pushing through the pain was a sign of strength. But eventually the joint pain became unbearable, and he found himself unable to walk without assistance. That's when he sought professional advice and changed his approach. With guidance from his doctor, Robert transitioned to shorter, gentler walks on softer ground, started doing water aerobics to relieve pressure on his knees, and switched to orthopedic shoes that provided much-needed support and balance. Have you ever asked yourself, am I exercising the right way for my body, or am I unknowingly wearing it down? Pain during or after walking is not something to ignore. It's a signal that your body needs a different kind of care. There are plenty of low-impact alternatives for older adults that still offer great health benefits. Swimming is fantastic because water supports your weight. Stationary biking is gentle on the joints. Even chair yoga can improve flexibility, circulation, and strength without putting pressure on fragile knees or hips. And don't overlook your footwear. The right pair of shoes isn't just about comfort. It's a crucial tool for protecting your joints, improving posture, and reducing the risk of falls. Investing in supportive shoes can make a world of difference in your mobility and confidence. As Hippocrates once said, walking is man's best medicine. But he never said we must walk in pain. The real wisdom lies in adapting our habits to support our health, not strain it. You don't have to give up being active. You just need to shift your strategy. Be like Robert, stay in motion, but in a way that works with your body, not against it. Are your daily steps leading you toward better health or slowly pulling you away from it? Now is the time to pause, listen to your body, and choose a path that truly supports your well-being. Number 3, elderly recovery after surgery. If you or someone close to you is recovering from surgery, whether it's spinal, hip, knee, or abdominal, Pause for a moment before trying to get back on your feet too quickly. Your body after surgery is like a storm-swept garden. It needs time, patience, and care to bloom again. Walking too soon might seem like a sign of strength, but in reality, it can strain healing tissues, muscles, and nerves, potentially setting you back instead of moving you forward. Let me tell you the story of Richard, a 76-year-old man full of determination. After undergoing back surgery, he believed that walking early would speed up his recovery, but he pushed himself too soon. The result? Strained muscles, prolonged pain, and a much longer road to full recovery. Looking back, Richard admitted, "If I had just listened to my body and taken it slow, I wouldn't have gone through all that unnecessary pain." So what's the real message here? Often we carry a mindset of powering through, thinking it's a sign of resilience. But true strength lies in listening. Listening to your body, to your doctor, and to the subtle signals that say, "Rest now, heal first." Ask yourself, am I truly helping my body recover, or am I unknowingly getting in its way? That simple question can transform your approach to healing. The best advice I can give you today is this: follow your doctor's guidance closely and don't skip physical therapy. A good physical therapist won't just help you regain strength, they'll teach you how to move safely, protect your healing areas, and build stability step by step. Recovery isn't about doing more, it's about doing what's right. As Dr. William Osler, one of the founding fathers of modern medicine, once said, "Care more for the individual patient than for the special features of the disease." Your journey matters. Every careful step, every moment of rest is part of that healing. There's no medal for rushing, but there's peace in knowing you're healing the right way. So the next step is yours. Will you choose speed or wisdom? If you found this story helpful or know someone who needs to hear it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're here to share more practical, inspiring advice every week to help you and your loved ones live stronger, healthier lives, especially in the golden years. Number 4, elderly with peripheral neuropathy. Did you know that for some seniors, something as simple as walking can actually pose serious risks? Especially for those living with peripheral neuropathy, where damaged nerves in the feet lead to numbness, poor balance, and slower reflexes. When you can't fully feel your feet, each step becomes uncertain. Walking on uneven ground or missing a curb can easily lead to dangerous falls. That tingling, burning, or numb sensation underfoot doesn't just feel odd. It's a warning sign that your body's natural safety system is compromised. Imagine stepping on something sharp without realizing it, or walking off the edge of a sidewalk because your feet don't register the change in terrain. This isn't just inconvenient, it can result in serious injuries. That's why walking outdoors without precautions can be hazardous for older adults with peripheral neuropathy. Take James, a 74-year-old retired teacher, for example. After being diagnosed with peripheral neuropathy, he didn't give up on staying active. Instead, he got smart about it. James started walking indoors where the surfaces are flat and predictable, and added strength training exercises to his routine to improve stability and muscle support. This thoughtful adjustment has helped him maintain his independence without putting himself at unnecessary risk. So what should you do if you or a loved one is facing the same challenge? Start by switching to safer environments for walking, preferably indoors. Wear supportive, well-fitted shoes with non-slip soles. Don't hesitate to use a cane or walk with a partner for extra stability. And most importantly, focus on strength and balance exercises tailored to your ability level. Movement is still vital. It just needs to be done wisely. As the great Maya Angelou once said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." The goal isn't to stop moving, it's to move smarter. Ask yourself, are your daily routines still serving your health and safety? Are there small changes you can make today to stay active without risking your well-being? Growing older doesn't mean giving up your independence. It means learning how to adapt. And those who adapt well, thrive.